What's up, guys? We're back for another Mythic Legions Advent of Decay review, going back to Legion builders today, taking a look at the Skeleton Soldier Builder figure. And we've got two of them, so we can kind of show everything off all at once, because there's a lot of stuff in this box. You can see the figure there in the standard Mythic Legions resealable packaging in the window. We don't have a bio since this is a Legion builder, so you've just got product shots on the side, and then the back of the box has that same artwork, same mythos write-up that we've seen throughout the wave so far. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. All right, guys, here we go, our Skeleton Soldiers out of the package. And the reason why I wanted to use both of these figures is that this particular Legion Soldier Builder has the options to make a female and a male character, which I think is really, really cool. So this is a Legion Builder type of figure, but it's got a little bit of a higher price point, and it has more parts, and of course it has a little bit more on the paint detail side as well. It's not as basic, but it's not as embellished as a lot of standard figures. So it's kind of middle of the road, but it comes with a ton of stuff. So we've got, you know, kind of both configurations to talk about here, just to kind of show them off all at once. We're going to take a look at articulation first and foremost. They're the exact same, so I'm just going to be using one. So we're going to move the female figure aside and take a look at our male figure. So as far as moving this guy around, you can rotate the head, you can hinge up and down and bobble side to side. Joints really, really, really tight still, so you can hear it creaking. It's just a ball peg though. So we've got arms that go out, they rotate. We've got a single jointed elbow with rotation. You've got rotation at the gauntlet, rotation at the wrist, and then a hinge. We do have the upper torso joint here, so you can rotate and push back and forth a little bit. We of course have a waist twist. The legs go out, they kick forward and back. Being a skeleton, there is no thigh cut though. We have got hinge and rotation at the knee, and then we've got rotation, rocker, and we've got hinges down here at the ankle. So it is, you know, par for the course in terms of this particular wave, along with kind of the lacking of the thigh cut when it comes to skeletons. Now, when it comes to the overall look and feel of our skeletons here, these figures are almost identical. Obviously, there are some differences here. So the legs are the same, the waists are the same, the feet are the same, the arms are the same, the gauntlets are the same. I've got two different heads here. There's no reason to think that this particular head is 100% a female head. There's no reason it can't be a male's head as well. So those could be swapped. The big difference is, of course, in the torso region. So the entire torso is different. So basically what you do is you pop the torso out of the waist, and then you pull the arms off and you can switch them out. So they just pop apart. There's nothing crazy. You don't really have to even heat them up. I've never needed to do that with these in particular. So they just sort of pop apart and then put the joints back in together. And then bam, you've got two distinct but very similar looking figures. So there's a lot going on here though. In the fact that these are Legion builders, they are a little bit on the dumbed down side when it comes to paint, but they're very much exactly what you'd expect to get when it comes to sculpt. So there's all kinds of intricate detail with the armor plating, and then with the scale armor on their waists. You know, we've seen this kind of shin armor before. They've got exposed feet. So just like the Morgulith figure, these guys have exposed bone feet, which isn't necessarily too common in this line. They've got fully exposed bone hands as well. They do, of course, have the telltale skeletal bolted-on upper arm armor, which I always love. I say it every time. I really like it. I think it's a cool thing. Just the idea that they've, you know, affixed armor directly to their bones, because why not? They need protecting somehow. So that's really great. Of course, like I mentioned, there are some key differences between these two when it comes to their torsos. So we've got a more Knights style torso for the female armor, and of course there is breastplating armor there. And I've seen a lot of people comment on the fact that these figures still have, you know, breasts, in the fact that they're on their armor but they're skeletons. Well, it's not their body. They don't have like bone boobs underneath them or anything. It's just how the armor was. So of course it's going to stay that way after they have become skeletons, or, you know, whatever the theme is here. It's the Four Horsemen's world. It's just, that's what they decided to do, and I think it works really well. There is a little bit of added paint on these figures, so they aren't just a solid color through and through. So you can see on the female's body that there is a lot of intricate detail there. There's some dry brushing of silver, and there's also some sort of rust type paint on there as well, which kind of brings things out a little bit. It makes it look a little old and decaying. And then when it comes to the male's body, they have a more almost elven style of lower torso and then a huge iron plate across their chest. And it's all pitted and worn and nasty. A lot of buckles on the side and everything. And more of that same kind of black armor with the silver paint applied, but also with some of that rusted look to it as well. So it's not incredibly detailed in terms of, there being 10 different colors on the guy, but they do have more than just a little hint of paint here and there. They definitely have more paint applications than your standard Legion builder, but not as many as your normal quote-unquote named character. Now, of course, we have to take a minute to talk about the heads on these guys. So we've got our male figure over here on the right, and the one I'm using for this particular head, at least for now anyway, is just the basic skull. So this is just a bear skull. It's bone in color with a little bit of a brown dry brushing on it to bring out the sculpt, make it look nasty and old and worn and gross. It's the standard kind of skull sculpt that you would expect to see from the Horsemen. Detail and paint are there. All those nasty rotted teeth are in that skull. We've got the open cavities for the eyes and the nose. So it just looks fantastic. There's not a great deal to talk about here. It's a skull. It works really, really nicely for this figure. And then we've got the one that I'm using for the female right now. And this isn't necessarily one that has to be female, It could be a male's head. But I'm using it for this one because I think it works really well. So we've got a helmeted skull here. So there's not a lot of skull details, but you do get the front of the face. It's very nicely done, fully painted. Of course, the same as the other skull with all of those jagged teeth and all the eye sockets and the nose cavity. We do have horns on this helmet. They are removable. They are swappable with other horns that you've seen in the line. So you could twist them around if you want. Just put them in a little different bit of a pose, or just use something else. And then we've got that same kind of armor scheme going on with this particular figure on the helmet that flows down into the body. So the black armor with the kind of rusted color with some silver on there. And then we've got this plume that sticks out of the back. I'm assuming it's supposed to be a head of hair, which lends it to being more of a female type of character. There is a swappable piece that you can use instead that will make it more gender neutral. But I like the idea of having what looks like a head of hair popping out of this thing. It's kind of blonde with some reddish brown dry brushing on it to bring out that sculpt. So two amazing options here. And then within this particular head, you do have another option as far as how to display this one. So you've got a few different ways to do up your figure or figures. Now, as far as accessories goes, these guys, like I've mentioned, do come with a lot of stuff. I've already shown you quite a bit of it, though, with the extra head, the torsos, and things like that. But we do, of course, have Pauldrons, which they both have on now. We've seen these before. They come with figures like Nubnik. We got them on figures like Thistlethorn, things like that. So they're the smaller plated style Pauldrons. I really like them. They work very well with the armor with these same kind of black, silver, and rusted color scheme. Now, as far as the other options that you've got, here are my extra torsos and heads down here. So we've got this one here that has the male body with what I'm using for the female head, but it's got the other ornament on the back, so it's just a spike. So it's not any kind of, gendered type of thing. So it's just a generic one. So this could be a male's head or a female's head, depending on how you want to use it. It really makes no difference. And then I've got the female torso here, the extra one that I have with the just basic skull. So we've got that as well. So you've got options. And then as far as actual weaponry goes, they do, of course, come with all the back adapters. They come with the straps. And then they come, of course, with the same weapons since they're the same figure. So we've got a shield, kind of a basic silver shield, a lot of rust all over it, a lot on the back. So it's, they do it everywhere. It's even on the handle, a little bit of rust color. So it's just silver with some orangey brown paint on it. We've got the standard spear. More of that subtle dry brushing on the tip up here. It's not too much, and then you can slightly see it on the handle. But we've seen these time and time again. This one's actually a little warped from how it was in the package. Easy fix, though. And then we've got the standard sword in the line. Silver blade, gray handle with more of that rust patina type of dry brushing on there. So outside of the fact that they come with basic weapons, which is fine for this particular type of character, type of figure, they come with a plethora of accessories. They really are jam-packed with options and ways to display this thing. So overall, I really like this Legion builder, this quote-unquote soldier builder as it's called. I've said it before that the skeletons are at this point my favorite thing about Mythic Legions. Just every time I get a new skeleton, I kind of fall in love with it. This thing is no exception. There are older Legion skeleton builders. I don't have that. I do have one on the way as of this video. I don't have it yet. And they use the older, bigger style bodies. So these are a little bit smaller, a little more trim, a little more bare bones, no pun intended, in terms of what the bodies offer. But they very much look like what you think of when you think of a skeleton warrior. So I think the Four Horsemen have really driven that point home with this particular figure. On top of the fact that it comes with 1,000,001 ways to display it, from accessories to a whole different torso to different heads, and then the various attachments for the helmeted head. So there's a lot you can do with this particular set, even with one figure or with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many that you decide to get. I think this is a solid one to go with as far as building up your ranks. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legion's Skeleton Soldier Builder figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.